Hi, I'm Bill Carmody, and I am excited to talk to you about generating appointments. Now, I'm going to assume that you've already spent time with me or on AskBill.us to refine your niche and your irresistible offer. You're going to need both of those to be highly successful in generating appointments for your coaching business. However, I'm not going to be spending time on that today. So if you would like to stop this video and go refine your niche and your irresistible offer, feel free to do so. But if you are proceeding, I'm assuming that you've already done that and that you're ready to generate appointments. Remember, there's only four things you need to remember in your coaching business. It's having a very well-defined niche, your who, having an irresistible offer, your what, generating appointments, which is where, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, and then converting the appointments in total ease and flow. So for today, I'm going to talk about generating appointments using the five different methods that you would need in order to effectively generate appointments. Just as a refresher, because you've probably heard me talk about this before, there is referrals, direct outreach, networking, writing, and speaking. Each of those has a different way for you to generate appointments powerfully and consistently in your coaching business. I'm going to go through each one of them today and have you reflect on where you want to focus your appointment generation efforts. Now, if you don't know where to start, start sequentially. The order in which I'm talking to you is actually going to be the most powerful way for you to go and begin. Because, for example, we're going to start with number one, referrals. Referrals are the fastest path to generating appointments on your calendar. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which I'm going to go into. But if you've already exhausted all of your referrals, you can skip ahead to direct outreach. And once you've done direct outreach, there is no end to that. But what you can find is supplements with networking, speaking, and writing, which we'll talk about all of those today. So buckle up. We're going to get into a lot of content in less than an hour. That's my commitment to you. We're going to go through it and you can slow it down, pause, and at any time, I highly recommend that you engage AskBill.us so that you don't just make this an intellectual exercise where you're thinking about the insights you're receiving. But instead, what I would love for you to be able to do is actually take action on this insight so that it's no longer an insight, but something muscle development that you're creating for yourself and growing your coaching business. Because who cares how much you know? Seriously. If you're not able to apply the knowledge into building and growing and scaling your coaching business, then what's the point of doing more training or doing more refinements? All of this needs to create action and consistent action so you can continuously grow your coaching business. So let's get into it. The first thing that I want to share with you is why referrals are your fastest path to growing your coaching business. And if you think about it, referrals convert 70% of the time. And this is meaning you have the highest probability of enrolling clients into your coaching practice because they've already been pre-vetted by other of your clients or friends or network or anyone else who's referring you business. That vetting process is invaluable. That's why your referred business converts 70% of the time. It's also the most neglected and overlooked because we just take for granted the fact that we have satisfied clients, friends, networks that are just dormant. We're not using them. And so ultimately, the fear of being awkward or saying the wrong thing prevents us from asking for referrals. So we don't want to do that. The other thing that I will share with you is that referrals strengthen your connections, not weaken them. People don't be put on because you've asked them for a referral. If they actually like what you're up to in the world, they want to help. And you're strengthening your network of people that you're asking for referrals because they want to support you in your growth. The other thing about referrals is it can be systematic. For example, whenever I'm doing a discovery session with a potential client and they say no, remember, you're going to get 9 no's for every 1 yes. So you're more often going to get a no on a discovery call than a yes. This is the perfect time to ask for a referral. And that might seem counterintuitive because they've just rejected your offer. Not you, they rejected your offer. Why would you stop and then ask them for a referral? And it's simple because they want to pay it forward. You just delivered powerful value for them in that discovery session. They said no to your offer, but they are already predisposed to want to do something given the amount of time you've just spent with them. So it's a powerful thing that you can do to continuously generate referrals in your coaching business at a systematic level. And it also continues to allow you to deepen your relationships and be a giver of referrals. Because what you'll also find is that sometimes when you are doing a discovery call, you're realizing that this isn't the right person. And maybe instead of making your offer, you can say, hey, I'm not the right fit for you, but if you are interested in continuing on with coaching, I'm happy to refer someone to you. I have a fellow coach that I think would be a perfect fit. See, once you start doing that, there will be reciprocation. It's not why you're doing it, but it's going to happen naturally and organically. So keep that in mind. The other thing that I think is really important is the idea of how. How do I generate referrals? Now, the thing is, I'm not going to give you a step-by-step process here because what I want you to do is tap into your own infinite abundance. So what that means is how is both the question and the answer by being honest, open, and willing. So honest, why are you asking for the referral in the first place? You're looking to grow and expand your coaching business. This referral would mean the world to you and ensure your continued growth as a coach. You can be honest about that. Then you could be open to different approaches to asking for referrals. Some people can make direct introductions, others might want to provide contact information, and others will have specific people they suggest but leave you out. They say, don't use my name. I would prefer you just to reach out to them directly. Great. Be open to that. Honest, open. And the third thing is willing. You must be willing to be rejected after asking. Can you not take it personally? Can you be willing to be rejected multiple times in order to be able to get the 70% close rate once you actually do receive a referral? So keep that in mind because this is a powerful way to actually go out there and get business. The best time to ask for a referral is post rejection from a discovery call, after a breakthrough, at the conclusion of your work with a coach, with a client, excuse me, when it's been a while, you haven't talked to someone in a while, you're reconnecting with them and you tell them what you're up to in the world. And there's never a bad time to ask for a referral. So just keep that in mind because it's really important that you see what are the best ways to generate referrals in your coaching business. It's to think about when you might ask for one and how do you create a system behind it. Now, creating a system is simple. The first thing you do is decide that you want to create a system of referrals. Determine the best ways. Is it after you're being rejected when you're doing a discovery call? Is there some other thing at the bottom of your signature line or your email address? Whatever it is, determine the ways you're going to ask for referrals. Are you going to come up with the top list of people that you want to ask for referrals? You want to decide that you're going to do it. You're going to determine how you're going to do it. You're going to design and implement and then take decisive action. So there's a simple process to be able to get out there and do this work. Now, one of the things that you're thinking about is getting started. So to get started with your system of referrals, I would recommend starting with a list. Who is it that you haven't talked to or asked for a referral just right now? If you were to pause this video and just think to yourself, who have I not asked for a referral? Make that list. It doesn't mean you even have to ask for a referral. Just make a list of people you could ask for a referral. Maybe draft an email. Use askbill.us to draft a powerful email asking for a referral. And there's a lot of good ways to do that, and I'll help guide you through that during askbill.us. But ultimately, when you're thinking about referral, just think about how you want to ask why this person is uniquely qualified to help you grow your coaching business. The other thing you can do when asking for referrals is just talk to your clients, tell them what you're up to, give them an opportunity to explore who they might think they could introduce you to. You can ask a prospect after your discovery session, like we talked about earlier. You can review your network. Who have you not reached out to in a while that you might want to just connect with? And in that connection call, actually have them understand what you're up to, why you're doing what you're doing. So the idea here is think about the start of the process and just keep going. Because ultimately, when you ask for referrals, you're going to start to see that it builds momentum in your coaching business. So if you want to learn more about referrals, what I'm going to suggest is that you actually spend some time in askbill.us and ask your questions. If there's more you want to know and more you want to refine. But here's the thing, don't get stuck asking questions. Go into the process, do your best, make your list, reach out. You're going to learn more from the act of doing than continuously refining this work. Okay? So now the next one I want to move us into is direct outreach. This is number 2. So we first talked about referrals. Now I'm going to talk about direct outreach. And direct outreach is your most predictable path for generating appointments. Why is that? Because you control the flow. You can decide how many outreaches per day that you choose to do. You can look at the number of appointments you want on your calendar, and if your offer is truly resistible and you're reaching out specifically to your niche, you should be able to control the flow of how many people you reach out to in order to get appointments on your calendar. And then once you've figured out the right strategy for yourself, you've put out the right messaging, you've gotten good responses, you can tweak the model a little bit, but your success is easily replicated because you're going from trial and error to predictable growth. And outreach strengthens, not weakens your connections. So one of the reasons people hesitate to direct outreach is because they don't want to weaken their connections. And that is a false premise. Ultimately, every time you reach out to someone in your network, you're strengthening those ties, even if you're asking to have them set some time with you to do a discovery call. Even if they say no, thank you, or no for now, the fact that you thought of them is strengthening your network. So the other thing is with direct outreach, similar to referrals, you can create this and make it systematic. And what that means is going to the gym is all about the number of reps that you take. Doing direct outreach is all about the number of outreaches per day that you choose to take on. So think about what that number is and how many are you willing to complete each and every day. Because whatever gets measured gets improved. So one of the things you want to think about when you're doing direct outreach is set a target and then track how many you actually do. For example, if you set out to reach out to 10 or 20 people today, how many do you actually complete? Was it 5? Was it 3? Was it 1? And that's okay, but just keep track. And if you were being overly optimistic in terms of your target, you can change your target. But the other question is, what got in your way? So when I say be systematic, it's create a target of who you want to reach out to and then just keep going. Because it sometimes can take 5 to 7 outreaches to a single individual to get them on your calendar. And you're like, Bill, I don't want to annoy people. I know, I get it. So the idea here is to think about what that touch point sequence could look like. So depending on your niche and their availability, you might send different meeting requests or different invitations on different platforms. So you might be thinking about like, how do you create nuanced messaging? Maybe, for example, you think about sending out an email because you have them on your email list. And then maybe after the email, you send a message through social media platform, a direct message saying, hey, I sent you an email and I just want to make sure you saw it. Maybe you have their text message and you wait a couple of days and you send a text and say, hey, I haven't been able to reach you directly. I wanted to see if we could get some time on your calendar. And you could even write a handwritten note if you have their physical address. So again, depending on what options you have, you can structure something that doesn't feel annoying. The key is that if you have not strengthened your network, this process will actually get you deeper connected to the people you wish to serve in the world. Persistence here is key. You don't want to give up after 1 or 2 attempts. Remember, it can take 5 or 6 outreaches to get a single appointment on your calendar. So that's why tracking and measurement is so powerful, because if you keep track of how you've reached out to people and maybe you create a little grid and say, okay, I have my 100 contacts I want to reach out to, and these are all the methods I tried. I tried LinkedIn, I tried email, I tried text messaging, I sent handwritten notes. What worked? The more you track and measure it, the more you're going to see what your niche wants to respond to. And so the idea is just thinking about the ways in which you want to reach out ahead of time. It's going to make it so it's not discouraging if you don't get responses. So you want to assess, what are your strengths? Like, where is your network today? Do you have a bunch of contacts in your phone book, like your digital phone book on your mobile phone? Do you have a lot of connections on one of your social media platforms so you could direct message these people? Do you have physical addresses? I mean, did you really keep up on people's birthdays, or do you send out holiday cards? Do you have physical addresses? Great. Whatever your strength is, play to your strength. And then identify who it is that you want to reach out to. And then create your prospect list, by saying, okay, this is the people that I want to reach out to them, and this is how I'm going to reach out to them powerfully and several different touch points. And then do it. Keep tracking your results and see what's happening. What's important to keep coming back to is what you're doing here is adding value to somebody else's life. And as long as you add value and as long as you're not being pesty, right? You're not being a pest. Well, then what's going to happen is it gives you an opportunity to deepen a relationship. Even if they don't want to get on your calendar, the fact that you thought of them more than anyone else and that you would like to talk to them and share with them what you're up to in the world is valuable. So, what's also important is understanding the value to your niche. Now you're saying, no, 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 the value to me, right? Like I'm going to get people on my calendar. No, I'm telling you specifically, you want to consider the value to your niche because we've already talked about one, it's deepening a weaker relationship. A relationship that is not very strong when you reach out to them is going to strengthen organically just by the act of reaching out to them. It also interrupts their patterns. They're going about their business, doing their own thing, getting what they've always got, and suddenly they have someone who they've met with or talked to in the past that's reaching out to them saying, hey, I want to help you. Would you be willing to have a free 1 hour session with me so I can support you, forever change the trajectory of your life? Right? That's juicy. That's powerful. And this is, in fact, a life-changing breakthrough. Some of you might think, oh, I can't do that. I'm not that good. No, yes, you are. You totally are. And it's those negative self-talk that stops people from taking action. But when you realize that you wouldn't hesitate for 1 second to reach out to somebody if you knew that you could forever change the trajectory of their life. And here's the truth, it does. What you're doing right now does, in fact, change the trajectory of a person's life. It can, it will, it does. So it could even help them save their life. I'm going to drop it in here for just a second. Depression, anxiety, self-harm are the highest they've been in 80 years. This is according to a study by Boston University. And what if your caring and showing your humanity is what makes the difference for them? I'm dead serious. People are lonely right now. You're worried about what they'll think of you. Have you considered what action they might take that is self-harming if they're not being reached out to by people just like you? I know I went through depression, and when I went through a place where I wanted to take my own life, I would have loved to have anyone reach out to me just to tell me that I was worthy. You see, we take that for granted. Because if we're not feeling that ourselves, we're not thinking about how other people are feeling. And believe me, when you think about your irresistible offer, taking your people from the problem to the promise, right? What is the outcome they want? If they're trying to get to that outcome on their own and they can't do it, they're bummed out. Just the act that you want to reach out to them can change their entire trajectory. So trust that. And just keep making it about them. Forget what you need. Deepen your compassion for what they're going through. Ask them how you could help. And be love. You are such a giver. Give the love that you so desperately want to give to your prospects, to your potential clients. And as you do this work, you're going to see what's really important. Like reaching out is important. So take small steps, right? Start with making a list. Begin with the list of people you could reach out to. Maybe draft an email. Think about what content you want to share. Use askbill.us to help you refine that content. You can think about even crafting a direct message or a text message. Again, use askbill.us to help you with that refinement. Track and measure the number of times you're reaching out to people. Review your network. Who have you not talked to in a while? Or something else. Again, I'm not the expert. I know you're listening to me right now, but in truth, you're the expert. I mean that. The thing is, I'm trying to share with you is to begin trusting yourself. All that you need is already within you. And this is your invitation to take a time out and consider what is it? What is it that you need to be doing differently in order to reach more people and change more lives? That's all this is. I'm asking you to consider it. Okay, taking a small break before we go into the third way to generate appointments, and that's through networking. Now, the thing about networking is this is your most abundant path to generating appointments. Why is it your most abundant path? Because it's like speed dating for appointments. It has your ability to meet with multiple members of your niche, all hang out in one location at one time for this purpose. Meeting people, people just like you who can help enrich and enhance their life. The other thing is with networking, it's easily replicated. Once you've learned from trial and error the predictable path of growth, it's only a matter of time and continuous effort. So don't give up. Go to networking events. Fail epically, but keep going. Because as you keep going, you're going to keep learning. And as you keep learning, you're going to keep adjusting. As you keep adjusting, you're going to improve. You're going to get all kinds of new connections and new introductions, similar to what we talked about with direct outreach. A willingness to reach out and share your irresistible offer builds trust. See, the thing is, when you go into a networking event, you're looking for the people who have a problem and they're looking for an outcome. And if it's not the person right in front of you, at least by articulating your irresistible offer, they might hear someone else who has a similar pain point and they'll point them to you later that evening. So this is your invitation to keep practicing. Not only that, if you go into a networking event and say your irresistible offer like 100 times, guess how well honed that message is going to be by the end of that night? Let alone if you keep going, let alone if you keep going to events. You're going to keep getting these new connections and new introductions, and those people will tell you about other people that you should be meeting with and talking to. And that can go back to direct outreach. It can go back to referrals. Even getting a referral from somebody you just met at a networking event is powerful. They have a 70% higher conversion rate because they were introduced to you by someone you just met. How cool is that? And when it comes to networking, you get instant feedback. There's no guessing. When you walk up to someone, you can see their body language, whether they're engaged or not. You can see if they're looking over your shoulder, try to see if they can get out of the situation. Let them go. They're not your people, right? But that real-time feedback helps you hone your craft, hone your message, understand what works and what doesn't work, and measure this. What gets measured gets done. So keep coming back to this and say, hey, how am I going to follow up from this event? How am I going to keep connecting and keep the connections going well after the event has ended? The other thing you want to do is before you go to a networking event, you want to have a plan. You want to prepare. So remember why you're going to this event. It's not for the cocktails. It's not for the appetizers. It's not for the branding or even the celebrity that might be there. All of that is so far from what you care about. You're here to generate appointments, period, right? So set a target. How many appointments would you like to generate? And then ask for help. Turn it into a game. Like, I'm here to meet 5 people that are exactly my niche so I can have a powerful conversation with them. Here's who my niche is. Here's what I do for them. Are you that person, or do you know someone who is? Like, simple things like that. It sounds just hokey, but the truth is, at a networking event, people are nervous. They're kind of just like out of their comfort zone. Most people don't love networking events. They don't. So if you come in and make it fun and you make it hilarious, entertaining, any of that stuff, you're going to get people helping you to find exactly your niche and find the exact prospects you want on your calendar and make it into a game. Have fun with it. The other thing is dress for success, right? Suit up. Wear something bold and memorable. Consider like a striking hat or colorful clothes that stand out. Why? Because you can easily be pointed out to from across the room from someone who wants to introduce you. See the guy in the purple hat? Yeah, how many purple hats are in this audience? One, you, right? And it makes it easy for people to make connections. So don't blend in, stand out, especially at networking events. And for God's sake, redesign your business card. Now, the thing about this is that you want to have a big, bold, irresistible offer on your business card. Why should I care about you? Imagine when you're networking, you're getting all kinds of business cards all night long. Yours needs to stand out just like you do in person. The guy with the purple hat needs to show up in the same way directly on the business card. Use your calendar link. Do a QR code. Like, look at how you want to book appointments and add something memorable. Maybe it's die cut or it's uniquely shaped or embossed, but spend a little extra money on your card and make it memorable so people actually remember to reach out to you. Ideally, make it driven by your irresistible offer. Because if you stand out, people are more likely to follow up and reach out. Even when you reach out to them, they're going to remember who you are. Now, all that to say is you're going to spend all this time going to a networking event. The next 24 to 48 hours are critical, right? This is where you want to have follow up. And it typically takes several direct outreach attempts, even after you met someone, to get them on your calendar. So think about the social direct messaging, think about your emails, think about your text or calls or whatever it is, what is ever your strategy. Dedicate some quality time in the next 24 to 48 hours to reach out to the people you just met at your networking event. Remember, the average being 5 to 6 touch points, depending on your niche and their accessibility. So you might need to spend multiple messages to successfully book one meeting on your calendar. So be ready for that. The good news is that these are often same or similar messages that you're sending out, so it's not as time consuming as you think. And just notice any negativity or negative thoughts that are coming up as I'm sharing all this. Like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. I can't do this. No, stop it. You can totally do this. I know you can. It's the thing is, most people think that exact thought and therefore they don't do it, which is why networking is such a powerful way to connect with people. People are putting themselves in a position to connect, to grow their network. You're part of that growth. Show up powerfully and they'll want to be with you. Heck, they'll follow you around all night simply just because you are coming in with confidence, certainty, and calm. They wish they had that. Of course, they want to hire you as their coach. They love to be exactly like you showing up at these events. So, best practices to ensure your success at networking: make a list. Every person that you want to meet at the networking event, if you can, who are you reaching out to? Who is it specifically? How will you know that they're your niche? Right? Think about your outreach methods following the event. Are you going to do email? Are you going to do social direct messaging, text, handwritten messages or notes? Are you going to send out LinkedIn connection requests, any type of follow up on LinkedIn, whatever? Whatever you're thinking, make sure you vary your outreach methods after the networking event. And persistence is key. Don't give up. Just because they don't respond to you in the first 24 to 48 hours, keep going and track and measure so you can see when was the last time I reached out to this person? What did I tell them? Like, what was that message that I shared? How can I follow up on that? And if you want to skip all this, the best time to secure the appointment is at the actual networking event, right? Use your calendar link or QR code right there if the opportunity presents itself. Otherwise, personalize your message. Use the networks like LinkedIn to help connect and keep adding value. If they're not ready to get on your calendar, add something else of value first. Advance the outcome you're committed to by helping them achieve their outcome. And maybe there's an article or some content that might support them. Think about the different ways you can do this. And think about like the best way that your niche is getting value from networking. Wait, what? Yeah, same thing as direct outreach. You're breaking the awkwardness. Number one, you broke the awkwardness. Number two, you're deep listening to them, having conversation with them. They're feeling seen and heard. Number three, even the conversation in the networking event has the potential to change the trajectory of their life. For sure, your discovery session will, right? And the idea here is that this loneliness is happening all over. I talked about people are experiencing depression and suicide, anxiety, like all the self-harm. They're the highest they've been in 80 years. So again, some people are going to these networkers events because they're lonely, and you can do something about that. So there's a massive value to being there at these networking events. Remember, Forget what you need. Make it about them. Deepen your compassion, even at that networking event. Ask them how you can help them. Maybe they're not your niche, but they're trying to find somebody else too. Help them out. Why not? Be of service because that means you're being loving. You're loving the person you're with, even if they're not your niche. And that will rub off on them. That will help you generate a referral. They might introduce you to somebody else later that night. It could be the most powerful connection just because the way you showed up for them. So ultimately, you're going to start with making a list, right? But this time you're making a list of networking events. Where do you want to go? Where could you attend? And then once you've figured that out, sign up, right? It's best if you have a slight fee because you're more likely to prepare for that event and attend. If it's free, you might blow it off. So it's actually a good thing if it costs $20 or $50 to attend a networking event, you're going to invest more time getting ready and also make sure it pays out on the back end. So it's okay if there's a fee. Maybe enroll a friend who might want to join you for this event. And then track and measure your progress. How many people did you meet at the event? How many times did you follow up? How many of those people became appointments on your calendar? Perhaps you want to buy new networking clothes or that purple hat I talked about. Maybe update your business cards. If you have standard boring business cards like most people have, that was me, then you want to update it. Put your picture on your card. Use the best, most beautiful business card you've ever received to get inspiration, or go on and look for other business card ideas. But the idea here is to make sure that your irresistible offer and your face are very clear on that card. Oh yeah, that person. I remember having a powerful conversation with that person. And maybe it's something else. Maybe there's something else you want to do for coming up with your networking events. But ultimately, I would love for you to consider what is going to help you move your ball forward. Okay? Can you believe it? We've already gone through 3 ways to generate appointments. Let's talk about number 4. This is going to be writing. Okay? The writing is the 4th one I like to talk about because it's your most consistent path to generating appointments. Why is it most consistent? Because you can publish once and have ongoing lead generation. A well-written piece of content is a gift that keeps on giving. When your irresistible offer links to your calendar, your content serves as a gateway to driving people to get appointments with you. You can have one outcome and many topics. So, for example, when I talk about coaches and how they create financial freedom for themselves and tapping into their infinite abundance, my God, there's so much that I can talk about with that. Think about all the things we've just talked about on the very simple topic of generating appointments. That is an evergreen topic. I'm going to talk to you about it for an hour, but do you think I couldn't talk about this for a whole day or a whole week? Yeah, right? So it's totally evergreen. It's also the foundation of search engine optimization. So even if you don't consider yourself a digital marketing expert, know that written content is the first thing that Google looks for when people are typing in questions. If they can have a simple answer that is well written, it's going to pop. Now, even your written content can eventually become video content, just like we're doing today. So, think about how all these things play off of each other. But those are the fundamental assets that help you drive search engine optimization. It also helps you attract your niche and grow your community, right? The right content grows your audience as your niche comments, shares, and forwards and reposts your content. Whatever gets measured gets improved. So pay attention to what content is striking a wave of feedback and comments and shares to deepen this topic. This is how you flex your muscles when it comes to your expertise as a coach with your niche. They're looking for experts. If you can actually pump out the right content and you can help people see that you are an expert in this field, they're more likely to want to reach out to you. I can tell you about my own experiences about domain authority. One thing that I specifically did is I wrote a best-selling book. I've actually written 3 books so far, but one of them was The 3 Rules of Marriage, and it made me an Amazon bestseller, and that got me all kinds of open doors. That was cool. When I was on the Inc. 5000 list for 2 years in a row, I was asked to become a guest columnist. And in just 3 years, I wrote over 350 articles for Inc. That led me to Forbes, which I wrote, about another dozen articles on Forbes, as well as other sites like Entrepreneur and ECRM and Convince and Convert, a whole bunch of them. And so the thing about that is that that created implied endorsements, right? When you could see my face, you still can. If you type in Bill Carmody Inc. or Bill Carmody Forbes or Bill Carmody Entrepreneur, you're going to see my articles. And these are from years ago. But it created domain authority, which also helped me and build out my authority within my website Google results. So when you type in Bill Carmody, you'll notice I'm one of the top results. I'm competing with the coach of Stanford basketball coach who's retired, and there's also a lawyer called Bill Carmody. So like we all beat it out from SEO results, but you would instantly recognize me as a domain authority because of all of the publications that I've been writing for. So you don't have to do that, but think about where your niche is going for expertise and where could you show up there. So because it's implied endorsement, even just one domain can be enough. If I was just on Inc., that's enough. I don't have to be on Forbes and Entrepreneur and everybody else. Having one platform that I'm consistently writing for is sufficient to make me an expert. And success begets more success. Like the more you do this work, the more you get asked to do it. See, nobody wants to be first in discovering a new author, but once you actually are out there writing consistently, it's easy for others to pick you up. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You talk about your expertise, and then you are seen as the expert that you actually are. And if you really don't know how to get started, it's worth having a conversation with a publicist, someone who's in PR. The very first thing that I did to sort of get my track record going was I hired a PR agency, and all I wanted to do was have lunch with the editor of my industry magazine. I said, look, for 3 months, I don't care about the press releases. I don't care about what other publications you get me quoted in. Like, none of that matters to me. Just get me lunch with this particular editor. Why? Because I knew once I started doing this work with them, like there would be no turning back. Like this would be so easy. I would become the go-to resource that would consistently show, like anytime something was going on in an industry that mattered, I would have my name associated with it. And that's what happened. I was always a top phone call because the editor knew, like, and trusted me and became easy to be a good reference for them. And I was always responsive and I always got back to them with my feedback. The key to getting published is number one, you want to know your audience, like your niche. If you can convince a publication that you know your niche better than anyone else, they're more likely to say yes to your contributions. Number two, writers write. So they just keep writing. So the idea is becoming the authority by writing a lot, right? At Inc., I was writing 6 to 10 articles a month. And in just 3 years, I published 350 articles. That's a lot. So it's not just like, oh, Bill wrote a couple articles on Inc. It's like I wrote hundreds of articles on Inc. And that made me a domain authority. And if you're willing to write for free, there's lots of publications out there that would love to have your content. I would suggest using AI strategically, right? So don't just rely on ChatGPT or AskBill.us to write your content for you. It's dangerous and ill-advised. Instead, use it as a co-pilot. So think about AskBill.us to give you ideas, to suggest ways to integrate your key messaging, your irresistible offer. Maybe you're getting people on your calendar as part of your content strategy. All of that stuff is good, but the actual content itself should come from your heart. Right? Nobody knows your niche better than you do. And it's okay to start on social media. If you really, it feels overwhelming right now, I don't know that I can get to a publication, start with a regular blog post or a regular post on LinkedIn or another social media platform. Just get going and see that the content you're using can resonate. Even if you don't get appointments directly from your articles, you can then use it as part of your direct outreach strategy. So going all the way back to number two, that we talked about in terms of generating appointments, once you have some articles, you're now giving yourself content that you can use to reach out to people and get them on your calendar. This is how writing helps generate appointments. When you're on a publication, you get an author bio link, right? So anytime you publish to another platform, you get an author bio link, and that helps you be able to connect back to LinkedIn, your website, maybe your Calendarly link. The other thing is, for most part, you can use a call to action inside your content. So you can include your irresistible offer and a link to your calendar at the bottom of your article, especially when you're writing on LinkedIn. Often you can get permission to republish. Usually the publications just want the first publication to come from them, but you can say, okay, as seen in, which does two things for you. It basically helps you consolidate all of your content, but also have the original on your website and further increasing your domain authority. And you can use your content strategically, right? Extremely powerful when you're combining this with direct outreach and saying, hey, I was thinking of you when I wrote this article, and customize it. Here's why I was thinking about you. And I thought this would really resonate. I'd love to get your feedback, right? Those types of simple things can help give a reason to do direct outreach at the time you're doing it. So think about also what is the value to your niche when you do the writing. Number one, it totally normalizes difficulties. Number two, it's deep listening and understanding. You're seeing a theme here, aren't you? Number three, knowledge is power. You're changing their life. You're giving them the insights they need to take their life into their own hands. And number four, your niche can now see a solution they couldn't see before. So think about this. When you normalize the difficulties, they realize their problems are not so unique after all. When they felt heard and understood, they want to reach out to you. They want more of that. That's why they want to get on your calendar, do a discovery call with you. The knowledge that helps them change their lives feels empowering. They don't feel stuck. They feel like they can take action on your great advice. And one of that actions is get on your calendar, right? And generate appointments for you. And it really helps them see the solution that they didn't see before they read your article. So keep writing. That's the best way I can say this. Make it about them, make it audience centered, share your empathy and your compassion, deepen that compassion through the content that you're generating, offer to be of help and of service through the appointment on your calendar, and just keep being love. You see the theme here, right? You're creating a ripple effect. The more that you are helping your niche, the more they're able to help other people in their lives too. So I'm going to ask you to keep thinking about what it is that's truly going to get you started in momentum here. If you want to jump in and start generating appointments from writing, think about headlines. That's the easiest way to chunk it down. Begin with a list of article headlines that you could write. Start with 10, maybe do 20, right? The second thing you could do is go for editors and say, what are the editors of publications I want to reach out to, and say, I want to write for you. Then you could also reach out, like you just reach out to one editor and say, try it out. Say, hey, I'm really working with a lot of understanding of this particular niche. I understand that's the people that you serve for your publication. Would you be open to me submitting content to your publication on a regular basis? I don't need to be paid for any of this. I just want to be able to help you help my niche, right? Maybe draft one article, start the process, see how it feels. Maybe use askbill.us to get some pointers once you've drafted that article. Then you can share an article, maybe something you've already written, to somebody else and see how that works with direct outreach and how synergistic this can be. You can research what article content is already out there. What are people already saying to your niche? So you don't have to be duplicative, but you can be additive. You can look at all the research and say, put it together and say, here's the commanding prevailing wisdom, and here's my thoughts on this. How can I support and take this even further? And then track and measure. Like if you've put together a list of headlines, how long does it take you to write these articles? How often are you writing these articles? What gets tracked and measured gets improved. So decide how regularly you're going to continuously post this content, and then check in on yourself from your target to reality, and then make adjustments. Or something else. Again, you're the expert here. I'm giving you suggestions to spark ideas. AskBill.us is here to help you play around with this. But ultimately, I trust you, and I want you to be able to trust yourself. One last thing that I'll just say, I think is really kind of fun. The idea that the written word endures, the spoken word disappears. Neil Postman said that, but I love that quote. The written word endures, the spoken word disappears. So the interesting thing about your written words are going to outlast you. Like if there's really powerful content, it's going to keep being shared out there, and long after you're gone, some of your vision, some of your insight, some of your strategy, some of your support, your love, all of that can live on well after you're no longer here on this earth. So I don't mean to be morbid, but I do think that it is important to understand that your written word contributes a lot and can help not just the current clients that you want to enroll into your coaching practice, but future clients that will never have the pleasure of working with you directly. You can still support them. That's what I mean by this ripple effect that you can create in the world. It's powerful. Okay, home stretch. The very last one we're going to talk about today, number 5, is speaking engagements. Okay, so their speaking engagements are the most courageous path to generating appointments. As Seinfeld used to say, according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Death is number two. Does that sound right? This means that for the average person, if you go to a funeral, you'd rather be off in the casket than delivering the eulogy. I love that from Jerry Seinfeld. It's fabulous. So here's the thing. It's your most courageous path to generating appointments because public speaking takes courage. Speaking is most people's greatest fear, even more than death. So for those who stand out are rewarded. It's also your most effective form of communication. People pick up on your body language, hand gestures, tone of voice, and much more than just your words alone. It requires tenacity and endurance. The road to being a great public speaker has many side quests along the way to get lost and give up, right? So those who have tenacity and stick with it are remembered. And the best speakers are really playing full out with their hearts and their emotions. As Teddy Roosevelt once said, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So the idea is show your empathy, show your courage, and be okay not knowing. Often you're going to be asked questions during the Q&A and you won't know the answer off the cuff. That's okay. It takes courage to acknowledge the gap and say, I don't know that. Or does anyone else in this room know that? Because that's not coming up for me. So the idea here is it is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. When you decide to be a public speaker, you are now shaping your destiny. It is that decision that helps you reinforce the courage that's already inside of you. So if you don't think that you have the courage to be a public speaker, you just haven't tried. I mean it. Like the same experience that you have when standing up on a stage or being asked to speak, that same experience of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, those are the same somatic experiences as excitement. So maybe you haven't been afraid to publicly speak. Maybe you've just been excited and you didn't channel it into the opportunity. Who knows? But the only way you're going to find out is if you decide. In the moments of decision, your destiny is shaped. So what I'm going to ask you here is thinking about overcoming whatever fear you might have of public speaking. The somatic breakthrough is to acknowledge what I just said, that the sensations of fear are precisely the same sensations as excitement. So you're not afraid, you're excited. Breathe, take a breath, and just drop in, right? Really feel and be present in this moment. Realize the truth that when you're up on stage, you've been vetted, right? To be on the stage, somebody believes that you have exactly what this audience needs. So you have to believe that they made the right decision. So let go. Release any and all hopes of doing it perfectly, right? We're going for progress, not perfection. And just be real. Own your place in the universe and share your gifts. So shift the focus. You're only afraid when you make it about who? When you make it about you. That's when we're afraid, right? So stop it. Turn it around. When you focus on your audience, you're giving the gift. In that gift-giving mode, there's no room to second guess yourself. So the key to getting on stage is, number one, begin with the end in mind. Have a vision for yourself. How will you follow through on the stage, and why is getting on stage a must for you? Then know your audience. What is the precise message that your niche needs sitting in the audience? What do they need to hear from you? And why? Can you help them validate the thing that they sense from you in their life, the outcomes that they want? Share your vision. The first person who must believe is you. You got to believe in yourself. The second person is the conference organizer. How will you convince them? And think about the other things we've talked about today: referrals, direct outreach, networking, right? Apply them to finding and engaging your ideal conference organizer. So if you want to be speaking in front of your niche, you first have to convince the conference organizers that you deserve to be up on stage and add value first. You're not asking what the conference organizer can do for you. You're trying to figure out what you can do for them. If you can help put butts in the seat, right? Conference organizers want to talk to you. Help take some of the pressure off of them in the work that they're doing. You can also use your superpowers to get on stage. You can maybe write articles to help promote the event or show up as media covering the blog for a blog or a publication. We talked about that in the writing approach. Maybe take that forward. What value could you add to put more butts in more seats? Handwritten notes. You don't have to just call or email or direct message on social media. You can also send handwritten cards, share your vision, get creative, maybe even send flowers or send a relevant book. With a few keystrokes and about $25, you can put a powerful book in the hands of a key decision maker. And then you can follow up with context why you sent that to them now. And then network another speaker. Who would you want to help get on stage? Pay it forward, and that act of kindness will be remembered. And then seek advice from someone who's already doing this, who's already on stage. Use this as a way to help propel you forward. Now, how does speaking help you get appointments? Well, again, you have an author bio link. When you speak at conferences, you're often given an author bio and a link to some other platforms like LinkedIn or your website or Calendar link, and this can be promoted on the conference website. It's also a gift from the stage. Like when you're actually delivering your content, while you may not be able to sell from the stage, you can often give gifts like free discovery calls or another specifically designed lead magnet for this event. You can also help promote the event, right? By sharing on social media when and where you'll be speaking, that builds brand awareness for you. Sending a DM to one of your niches saying that got this link to this promotion that allows them to generate appointments right now. So you're saying, hey, I'm going to be speaking over here. Are you coming? If not, do you want to get on my calendar? We'll talk about what I was going to share at that event and how it can help you, right? Get creative with that and use these direct message invites strategically. It's extremely powerful when you combine your direct outreach efforts. I was thinking of you when I thought of this keynote. If it resonates, I'd love to speak to you about it via Zoom. Like, do you want a private version of this keynote speech I've been hired to give? It's powerful. And speaking gives value to your niche. Deep connection, right? Told from the audience's perspective, your courage to speak can change the trajectory of your audience's life. Again, it helps normalize the difficulties. Your willingness to speak about the most common problems your niche faces normalizes and contextualizes. Your words can move people to action, and knowledge is power. You're changing the trajectory of their life. Don't hesitate for 1 second that what you're doing matters, and it helps your niche see a solution. So keep coming back to that. Like the idea here, Dale Carnegie once said, speakers who talk about what life has taught them never fail to keep the attention of their listeners. Let me say that again. Speakers who talk about what life has taught them never fail to keep the attention of their listeners. This comes from Dale Carnegie. And speaking is only hard when you make it about you. So make it about them. Audience-centered speaking helps you tell a story that helps them and their perspective, their challenges. The more you make it about them, the more interesting that story is going to be. You can share your empathy and your compassion, helping them see that you understand and get the problem they're facing and the outcome that they seek. It deepens your compassion for your audience. It helps you be more of service to your audience. And from the stage, you're genuinely just sharing your love from the stage. And it gives them an opportunity to really feel seen and heard, even though you're up on that stage. So think about the small steps you can do with speaking. Like number one, you could begin with a list of keynote topics that you could deliver, right? Put that list together, maybe use askbill.us to refine those topics. Number two, think about the conferences. You can make a list of targeted conferences and targeted conference organizers that would allow you to reach out and see if you can get booked for speaking engagements. Number three, reach out. Let the organizers know that you would like to regularly speak. Number four, you could draft one keynote. Like they take one of the ideas you have and take it all the way through conclusion. What's the juiciest keynote? Start with that one. Maybe write and share keynote descriptions. So maybe just take the keynote the ideas and put it into descriptions so you can send it out to conference organizers. Which of these would you like to see at your next event? Research. Search for keynotes already existing for your niche. Track and measure your efforts. Decide how you'll regularly measure your own progress or something else. Again, you are the expert here, and I want you to trust yourself as you're coming through with all of this. Wow! We did all five approaches to generating appointments, and we did it in less than an hour. This is the gift to you. Now, here's the reason I did this. I don't want you to stop here. I want you to use AskBill.us to take action, refine your concepts, take any of this, slow it down, go to any particular section of this video, watch it again. The content here is static so that you can be dynamic. I want you to be able to take your ideas, put it into askbill.us, and from there, generate your action plan. Think about exactly how you want to follow up, track and measure your progress. Ultimately, I want you to generate appointments. All of this is the 20% insights. I want you to do the 80% muscle building. Continuously do this work and you will grow your coaching business. Generating appointments is your keystone habit to building a coaching business of any size you choose. So, what I'm asking you to do is trust that, find all the different ways you can generate appointments, and begin today. So this is either one day or day one. Which do you decide? If it's day one, start right now. Like you've gotten all kinds of great ideas and great insights. Take action on one of them. Pick one. And if I told you which one to pick, do referrals. If you've already maxed out your referrals, do direct outreach. Once you've started those methods, then you can supplement with networking and speaking and writing. But the idea is take action now. Don't wait because every day that you continue to do this work, you're growing your coaching business. As the Chinese proverb goes, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is right now. So that's my request. Start building your coaching business today. Generate as many appointments as you can. Remember, it takes 10 appointments to generate one client. So we got to get going. And the more clients you build, the more ease and flow you're going to experience in your coaching business. All right. I wish you all the best. Please keep using AskBill.us to help refine the support that you need. I'm not being able to be there in person, but I'm giving you this gift so that you can actually use these tools effectively and really help build, grow, and scale your coaching business. I appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you in the very near future, especially through AskBill.us. All right, talk to you soon.